What he's saying is, Specimen, I'm incredibly excited to finally watch the Northern Realms Evolving card video. No Northern Realms card been revealed so far. This is my first reaction. I do not know what I'm about to see. Also expecting to see one other card reveal in here. I will have a more in-depth video later on in the week when more cards have been revealed to look at Northern Realms as a whole. This is just my first reaction. I am a Northern Realms fanboy, of course, so this is
Once upon a time,
very gassed.
a noble prince was unjustly exiled by his father. He went on to meet a beautiful maiden. Their love was great as their ambitions. One might even say their methods were breathtaking.
Introducing Varaxis.
Varaxis.
A card that grows stronger at the start of each round. The card depicts Varaxis
Resets.
as a young prince.
An order
who was then
ability.
exiled
Wow.
by his father, only to return and claim the crown of Carrick for himself.
What if you play Soldier Synergy? Let's go, Ronvid.
Conventional techniques
Siege
allow
tactics
you
as
to
well.
reset the order of an allied
Oh,
unit.
geez, let's go.
Form, all allied units automatically benefit from his zeal. Carrick City Guard is one of many new cards created.
Oh,
to
let's go.
synergize with
Move an
Varaxis.
enemy unit to the other row. Let's go. At the end of your turn, if order is not used, boost yourself by 1.
The Kingdom of Carrick now marches within the ranks of the
That's probably a 7 provision card, right?
faction, both naval expertise
Let's go.
and hatred of dryads.
Let's go! Let's go! It's a soldier, so it's Ronvid synergy. It works as a crew pocket for like other siege cards that could potentially synergize with it. So there could be siege cards with really cool order abilities you might want to reset. I'm going to look... I'm gas, man! It works with Ronvid. Ronvid's going to come out. So my assumption was it was something to do with some sort of siege tactics, but I love that it's resetting an order. I'm trying to think of the best cards you could use for that. I mean, one that obviously stands out is Prince Einsis, Selkirk. I'm sure there's a few other. The Siege Elephant as well, and I'm sure there's going to be a few other ones. I'll be honest, I'm slacking on the lore. I do not know who this geezer is, but some really decent looking card arts. Not maybe as breathtaking as some of the other factions, but still really cool. So we start off with... I'm going to replay the video just to make sure I get his name right, because I don't want to butcher it for the whole video.
Introducing Varaxis.
Varaxis, okay.
That grows stronger at the start of each round.
Okay, so we've got Varaxis Prince. I wonder... I'm going to do a little bit of research, but I wonder who this geezer is behind him. There's been a few little Easter eggs in a lot of these cards, so I wonder if this could be a clue. Also, oh my god, I found the Easter egg. It's the decoy. I mean, maybe not, but it's decoy, right? The thing he's swiping at, yeah, maybe it's a coincidence. Probably not. Okay, reset an allied Northern Realms unit's order ability at the start of the round transform. So you're resetting an allied unit's Northern Realms unit's order ability, so you can use it again, right? So Bloody Baron is another one as well. You could use Baron again. Varaxis Outcast, so he's sailing the seas. Formation, okay, cool. Reset an allied Northern Realms unit's order ability and give it Zeal. Okay, so this one didn't have Formation, true. This one was just order. Whereas this one has Formation, so you can play at the front row for 6 points and you can use this order straight away, or back row for 7 points and have a delayed. And this also gives Zeal, so actually a really big benefit from round 2 to round 1. Now, this is really important as well, because as it stands, obviously depending on the rest of the revealed cards, Northern Realms does not have good thinning options. So playing a Devotion Northern Realms deck is going to be a lot more difficult to manage than playing a Scoia'tael or Nilfgaard Devotion deck, because they've got lots more thinning options. So the fact that the round 2 card is here, pretty damn good, is great news. Let's see what the final one is. I believe it just boosts soldiers. I don't think it's a big difference. So yeah, it's the exact same. It's got Veil, of course, but whenever you play a soldier, boost it by 1. Now this is music to my ear. Revenants soldiers, the ones who spawn wouldn't be. You've got Temple Guards, Blue Stripes Commandos, obviously Vernon Roach, Vess as well. So this is a really, really nice card that you could use across multiple archetypes. It is, of course, also a human, so you could turn it into a Draug target, but Ronvid is going to synergize really nicely with this. Now, what I'm really going to be looking for is a 2-strength soldier. The reason for that is so you can have some marching orders. Marching orders tutoring Ronvid, and then if not, it's going to be tutoring that 2-strength soldier. And we also did get that other card reveal. Now, my assumption on this is that this is going to be a 7 provision 3 strength, because there's some very similar cards to this, but I will check on Discord to see if they've posted provisions. It looks like 3 power. So Skellige and Syndicate got very similar cards to this, where if you use the order, you don't get something else. So you can either use the order, and it's going to move an enemy unit to the other row at the end of your turn. Oh, right, no, yeah. Move an enemy unit to the other row. So maybe this isn't 7 provisions, right? Maybe this is a cheaper version. If order is not used, boost self by 1. Really, really interesting. I really like it. Northern Realms' only piece of movement is the War Chariot, which, by the way, will synergize quite nicely with this soldier archetype. So this is giving the War Chariot a little bit of love as well, in the sense that you can have multiple movement cards and you're not just sort of stuck with one. What can happen a lot of time with War Chariot is you whack it in your deck and you don't have it when you need it, and you're like, oh, is there really any point? Whereas if you've got sort of multiple movement cards, it really, I feel like, increases the value of the War Chariot. Especially as this is a soldier, if you play a siege engine in between 2 soldiers, you can get a crewed ability. Now, the only real good one is War Chariot, but there's also things like the Siege Tower, which boosts if it's in a crew pocket instead of Vitality. Foltest Pride as well will damage 2 for each charge in a crew pocket. And there's also the Siege Ladder as well, is the other notable one, which moves one of your own cards, and if it's in a crewed little pocket, it boosts by 2. So I'm going to head on to Discord quickly to see the provisions. My early thoughts are, as you can probably tell by my reaction, I absolutely love it. Vess is going to be a really interesting card. Obviously, you could even argue this could open up some inspired Zeal decks, but I think this is a really flexible card, which is probably what you want for these evolving cards, right? You don't want it to be stuck to one archetype, potentially like the monsters Wild Hunt one is. It's just only going to be used in Wild Hunt lists. This is going to be pretty flexible in a variety of decks, and soldiers are a little bit of me because I love playing Ronvid. Also, in round 3, very importantly, your revenants will come down outside of amnesty range. Of course, this geezer here is a 6 power, 11 provisions, no surprise there. And the Karak City Guard is, in fact, 3 strength and 5 provisions. So he's got Veil. I'm not sure. Actually, that's pretty useful. The one thing I would say about this, though, is that... oh, do you know what? I was going to say that this card plays into Amnesty, but fortunately it does buff itself up by 1, so it would require a little bit of damage first. This card is really good. I really like it. Obviously, it comes in at the same power as a Strays of Sparla, which is the same provisions, but it's much more flexible because you can just sit on the movement, right? You could play this straight away, even if your opponent's not got a card you want to move. It's obviously a human, which is great for Draug. Also, it's a soldier, so it's going to have that synergy with Viraxis here, and also with Ronvid as well, because Ronvid, I do still believe, is a fantastic card. I really love the design of this card. It's very, very interesting because there's very similar cards in at 7 provisions, but as a 5 provision card, I really, really like it. It's much more interesting than using a card like a Pella, or at the moment, I'm wanting to use a little bit of movement to save myself using Boiling Oars and Philippa, and I'm finding I'm having to try and shoe in the War Chariot. I feel like 7 provisions is a little bit difficult to fit in, whereas a 5 power movement card, a 5 provision movement card, that's more interesting than just on deploy. Really, really damn cool. It's obviously going to be pretty useful as well in siege decks, of course, because you spawn in those reinforced trebuchets. This is going to be a great way you could lead in with your Karak City Guard, and then later on you can play your siege. Even if your opponent's been stacking that front row, you can just move something as and when you want. That's incredibly useful. Of course, it could be removed if you're not careful, but it cannot be locked and it cannot be poisoned. So that's pretty damn good. I love this card. It's really cool, and it's a very nice little card art. And yeah, I am such a fan of this card design. I'm really glad it's not just stuck to one thing like sieges. It's not just stuck to charges. It's not just stuck to orders. It's just mixed in with a little bit of everything. It's a really flexible card, and really importantly, in my opinion, for Northern Realms, the round 2 version of this, which is the Outcast that I'm going to pull up here, this is a really strong card. Obviously, boosting the soldiers by 1 is really nice, but this is a great card that you could use in siege decks where you still want to use Matter or Onyomancy to tech that siege and things like that. So I think that's really very important. You've got the War Elephant, which is going to damage adjacent units by 4, then boost self by 4 for each unit damaged. I don't think this is going to be one of your main targets, simply because it's going to go stupidly tall, right? It's going to go up to, what, 20 points, which, let's be real, isn't very good because it's a big, easy target. So I wouldn't say this. Roach is an interesting one. In theory, you could spawn in an extra Blue Stripes Commando in round 1, but it's not going to be particularly high tempo. It would, of course, improve your round 3 quite dramatically. I think at the moment these are more likely the cards you're looking at. Cards like Bloody Baron for that double reset, which can be extremely good. Prince Einsis, of course, like we saw in the trailer. Selkirk as well. And yeah, I'd say that's pretty much the main ones. Mad Kian is potentially quite a good one as well, right? Damage an enemy unit by the amount Mad Kian is boosted. And if you don't kill the unit, it will still be boosted, right? So you could do some really cool things. I think already this is where I'm leaning towards trying on the first day, because this is one of my favourite cards. But I can happily say well, not happily, but I've never played this card. It's a great ability. It's very cool, but it's just not that, yeah, you don't get that much from it because you've got to set it up a lot. But if you can do it twice, right, that's kind of interesting to me. You could definitely do some interesting stuff with Mad Kian and use that ability twice. That could be really, really cool. I don't think there's really too much else you're going to be looking at. I don't think Thaler's a particularly good target for it. I think this card's a little bit lackluster. I think that's probably the main one. I suppose Vess giving a zeal to something else, but that's kind of counterproductive because you're giving a zeal to something anyway. Trollolol, probably not. I'd say at the moment, and I'm sure we're probably going to get some big bad boys or girls that we'll see a little bit later on, your main targets are going to be Baron, Prince, and Selkirk, with maybe the potential of Siege of War Elephant and definitely Mad Kian as well. So yeah, my early impression of this card is it's fantastic. As I say, I'm a big fan of this sort of soldier archetype that I've been playing many times. Cards such as Falibor, Donomer of Troy, Vess, John Natalis, who I feel like might get a few warfare cards, Voimir, Ronvid, of course, being a crucial component to these soldier decks. Also, the Immortals, which could be a great card playing around Frost, because of course Frost is now working as Fog does and damaging the top units. So if you've got this in the front row, most likely if your opponent's frosted it, it's going to be hitting this, removing the shield and buffing it up, so you're using your opponent's weather as an engine. So this could be a card that you see in a lot of Northern Realms decks. Of course, Voimir is a great card, and the trusty Revenants, which I do love so much. So there's some really nice soldier cards in Northern Realms that see a lot of play already, and yeah, it's great. It really is great. It also improves your Immortal Cavalries, right? I've been using this card a bit over Vanguards. It's going to give you that. They're going to come in at 4 points each, as opposed to just 3 points each. So I love this card, man. I think yeah, this is a little bit of me. I'm super excited to get stuck in with this card. Fantastic design, and I am extremely excited to see what is in store for us next. So a big shout out to the Gwent team for providing us with some such cool cards, man. Big love. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I do say, there will be another sort of more in-depth dive into this card when more of the Northern Realms set is revealed. Because Northern Realms is my favourite, I am most likely going to be reacting each day to all the other reveals, so make sure you subscribe for all of that reaction to the next reveals. Although it might not be an initial reaction, just looking at each card, because Northern Realms is, you know, what gets me most excited, of course, because that's where I play most of my games. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. Enjoy the rest of your day. Nice one.